Now, side, yeah. Now we are going to talk about pseudo classes. Okay. So I told you already, these are not a regular class attribute that you see inside your HTML pages. Okay. These are created by your CSS itself. Okay. So generally, this is a class name. Okay. I, I just created a class name called BTM. Let us open the browser. I got a button like this. Okay, so if you want to change the color of this particular button when you mouse over on it, okay, so the CSS provide some predefined pseudo classes, okay, like mouse over, without any what we can call JavaScript code. We are able to validate, or we are able to do some kind of animations on your HTML page using CSS. That can be done through pseudo classes. So what I'm going to do for this pseudo class, I have created a button class. Okay, for this I'm going to create a pseudo class dot btn colon. Okay, there is a uh, hover class is there. This is a predefined one. Hover class is there. So when we mouse over, I want to do some kind of state change of your button. So here I just want to change the color of this background color to be magenta. Let us try like this. So refresh the page. When I mouse over on it, see, it's going to change the color of the button. Okay, this is possible through pseudo classes. Okay, so pseudo classes also refer uh, as a selector inside your CSS. Okay, we have a range, different kind of pseudo classes are there, different variety of pseudo classes. Basically, I want to talk about the mouse pseudo classes like mouse over, mouse focus. Okay, so let me take that one. What kind of things you can over over CSS. Actually, I want. Let's go for this. Pseudo classes. I'll just go for this pseudo classes. I'll go for active. See, there are four different for a particular anchor tag. The CSS provide four different pseudo classes: link, visited, hover, and active. And by the way, whatever the hover state that you have seen, that is possible only for anchor tags. Okay, so on mouse over. This is for only anchor tags. So you can see anchor tag can be either state of link state, visitor state, hover state, and active state. For example, I want to define a simple anchor tag now. Okay, let's take HTTP colon r. Let's make this to be okay. Google, something like that. Come here, go to the page. Now this is not at visited. By default, it is in a blue state. When I click on it, now you can see the state got changed, red color. When I left it, it's not blue in color, it's some kind of gray color. So that is what is called a link. Okay, the default state what we have seen, the first blue color, next one visited, red color. Okay, hover will be there. Now you can see hover is not given for this one. Okay, and active means it's is in gray color. I might be, it will be light blue or thick blue, something like that. It's not a gray. Okay, so when you are going to providing these kind of link hover states or link pseudo classes, you need to follow this order, LVHA order. Okay, link hover, sorry, a link visited hover active. This is the order you need to follow while writing all these four things. Otherwise, it won't work. So what I'm going to do, we have taken a hover. Okay, what is the rule? The first one is link. dot btn, sorry, btn, it is a link in this background color. Let me make this to be yellow in color. Dot btn, it will be okay, the second one visited, right? Dot btn visited, okay, background color to be yellow, red, okay. Finally you have active, okay. Let me give this to active as state of green. Let's find out. See, by default it is in red in color, right? What is the red? Visited. So already we visited that particular thing. Why? Because the page already got loaded, okay, and the state is already stored inside the cache memory of the browser. It might be, okay. So it's a visitor link. That is why it's showing a red in color. You won't find yellow in color right now, okay. And when I place that, I'm getting a magenta. When I click on it, I'm getting green. Okay, so green is active, magenta is hoversted. If you want to look at the yellow in color, that's what you do. You just take it out and take it a new page. Let me check this out. Okay, already it's showing the visitor thing. I want to clear the history. Chrome history clear. We want to clear all the data. Close this one. Once I can do the same thing. Okay, that's fine. Now let me open in the browser. See, if you erase the history, that means the cache memory, the link is not in active state. That is not in a visited state. All the information related to the page got removed. Now it's in yellow color. It's a link by default link, and then you can see the browser default will be blue in color. My default is yellow in color. When I place mouse, it will be magenta. Okay, it's not at visited, right? When I click on it, it will be green, active. When I left it, it will be red. Why? Because it's a already clicked on it. Okay, so by using this, you can find different variety of pseudo classes in CSS. Okay, you can change a lot of colors as well. Not only colors, you can change the state. You can shrink. You can reduce the width and height. Okay, you can do some animation by writing some animation classes here. Okay. Okay, if you want to test such kind of thing, you just press F12, go to elements, go for this. Here you can see hover class. When I click on this, you will get, when I click on it, it's an active state. Focus is different. Hover, visited. Visited is red in color. Okay. So by using this, you can test your pseudo nature of particular element. Okay, that is also provided in these browsers. And we have other kind of pseudo classes are also there. For example, we have seen link all these things, right? Something like I think we have to find out first child, second child, something like first child. By using this, you can find out what is the first child of the element. Okay, if you want to change this color. So what I am going to do, I have buttons. Okay, 3 buttons I have taken. This is button 1, 2, 3, and 4. All these are 4 different types. Refresh the page. Okay, so if you want to select, I think we need to, so anyway, I'll go for button 1 comma first child. You can access the first child by using if you want to access out of these elements, btn colon fast first child. Okay, this to be first child, right? Small letters. So I want to change the color of the text to be white. Is it already white? Right. So background color to be blue. Let's see what happens. It's not applied. btn dot first child we have applied. I'm getting this vody. Why not? It's not applying. The maroon is there, right? What about the blue? One second. Actually, the btn column first child and first is select our. We need to select that one. Why it's not coming as blue? Okay, I'll do one thing. Instead of going all this stuff, I might be these hover states is going to overwriting the content. So what I'm going to do, the instead of background color, I want to see the width to be 120 pixels. See, I got a bigger size. Actually, in the previous case, it's working, but the reason is why I'm not getting blue in color is might be these hover states highest hover state pseudo classes has highest priority than this first child. So because of that, I'm not able to see such kind of what do you call color on this particular item. Now you can see, if you observe when I click on this, go to the CSS styles, you will find background color maroon and background color blue. For the first style, it's got striked out. That means it is applied, but it's overwritten by some other color. What was that? It might be red in color. Why? Because finally the button need to be, the anchor tag need to be showed it as a visited state, right? When we click on it, visited state. So that is why it's showing red. Red color is going to override the blue color. That is why I'm not able to see such blue color on it. Okay. So instead of that, I'm going to give a width in order to see the change. 180 pixels or 160 pixels. See, you will get a big size of the first one. That is the first chain. Okay. Likewise, we have, for example, if this particular anchor tags are within inside a header tag, we have anchor tags. Oops. Okay, inside header tag, and we have some heading is there. H1, something like that. And I'm going to provide a nav. Why I'm getting these many spaces? Now, like this. Okay, and I come into the header and main part. Okay, I'm not going to write anything inside the main part, or at least let me share some kind of buttons here. I just place some buttons here, which is button 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now the short page. And do you need any BR statement in order to separate HR statement I'm going to give? So this is separated. This is main section and this is header section. So I want to change. I want to what you can call. I want to apply the button size only for this particular button 1, not for this button 5. Okay, but still I'm getting what you can call the bigger width for both the buttons of this particular section and this particular section. I want my styles to be applied to this particular section only. How do I do that? Okay, you need to separate these buttons and these button group and these button group. So see, here we have a path. Here also we have different path in order to access this particular elements. Shift tab. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do in order to differentiate or in order to make a difference between this main and this particular header section of styles, what I'm going to do, you can write something like this inside header. Okay, if you want direct child or normal descenders, general childs, I can use a direct child like this. Okay, inside header I do have a navigation bar, right? Inside this navigation bar there is a button class and I want to select that first one. Okay, and refresh the page. Now you can see this width is only applied to this particular section, not for this one. Why? Because the rule got changed now. In the previous one, the rule is same. Dot .btn is available for all the buttons, okay, that we placed in header section and main section. Now the rule got changed, CSS rule, which is header inside navigation bar, inside btn, something like that. And by the way, you can place something like a.btn. A.btn in the sense anchor tag with btn class. Okay, if you do have a classes, if you want to represent tag and at the same time classes, you can write like this a.btn. If you have another class .btn to something like that, this is also valid. Okay, and I'll explain the difference between this one and this one later on. It got highest priority than this one. Okay, right. So yeah, that's fine. Okay, that is about the first child. If you want to find out the nth child, okay, you can use, there is a class called nth child. You can make use of something like .btn. That is a function actually. Nth child, child of, you have to represent the number. If it is the second one or first one, always you need to take for this. See, it's got selected for this one. Not for the first child. If you want nth child, you can access like this. Correct? The width got changed now, right? If you want to make this to be 3, the width will be changed to 3. Likewise, you can access. See, always remember the nth child pseudo class should apply to that particular element which is going to be changed. Okay, so that means here actually what you think is this will be the parent and these are the childs, right? So you start counting from this one. So don't give like now colon something like this. Don't give like now colon nth child. It will search for n childs of nav bar. Okay, but here we are not going to apply for the nav. We need anchor tag. Okay, or .btn classes, whatever the thing you want. So it will check for n classes or n child elements of btn. Okay, okay, of type n childs of type btn or n childs of anchor tags. Not anchor tag. Anchor tag is not going to take it as a parent. It is a child. It is one of the child. From that, it's going to count the number of childs. So when I give nth child, the third anchor tag will be selected. Okay. Likewise, we have last child is also there. Nth child. last child, just remove it. See, I think something went wrong. Last child is not applied, might be the reason. This one. Why? Because anchor tag, the last child is this one. I need to give what btn we are talking, so this will be the one last child. Check for the syntax. Nth child and child of type. Okay. Some of these are not working here. Okay, why? Because those are deprecated and some of these are still testing. Okay, where is the last child? Last child. It should work actually, but I'm not getting that. The last child here. See, when he selected like this, li colon last child, this is got selected, right? But here I'm not getting that. I want to remove this one. Okay, so refresh the page. So it is going to take the last child, but unfortunately I have given only btn, right? You should apply only for the btn. Why it's cool? Okay, I'm sorry for that. Here, when we place an anchor tag, okay, I told you already. Here I can say I'm going to place one more child in between these two things, like the span, okay, tester. Now you can see this is the first child, second child, third child, fourth, fifth, sixth child. Okay, so if you want to try out for this one, span element, that will be the third child, right? So when you are going to provide nth child of 3, so that will be applied to the span. This will be applied. Why? Because here I need to change some color to be black. I want to change the color for this, so it should be black in color, or let me change that to red or yellow. Oops. We are talking about btn colon nth child. Why not getting this one? Is it yellow? No, black. Let me check what's the problem with this. Oh, it's a span, right? Let me try with this 4. Now it will be selected. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so always now for this nth child, it always pointed out with what we have given here, the element. uh, Okay, that will be counted. Now you can see this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third and fourth likewise. Okay, btn classes. And whereas coming to the last child, this will be taken for what do you call this particular element. Okay, not for this one. Okay, it's going to take the last one. So what happens if I give a class of btn? Let us try with this. Maybe that is the reason. See, see, this is the last element. So in that way you can find out nth child. Okay, link last child and first child, and we have something called, one second. Okay, so that is about the last child, nth child, and next. Okay, so here we have seen nth child, last child, first child, something like that, and we have a plenty of pseudo childs are there, pseudo classes are there. Just go for this document and you can find a lot. And one of the important thing that you can find is not. Okay, so it will select, okay, all the elements but not that particular element what we are going to give. Okay, so this is just like a negation. Here you can see that is a negation. Now here what I'm going to do, um, let me take some paragraphs here. Okay, 2 paragraphs I have taken and 3 paragraphs. Okay, so I want to change the color of text. Okay, for all the elements I can use not of anchor tag. You can use the pseudo class like this. Okay, so you can use something like this, and not of a the color to be, the text color to be red color, so I can use ff 0000, and you can come to this. Whatever the text color is there, that will be changed to red in color. Okay, so here we have given not of a, except anchor tags, the color will be changed to all the elements in the page. Okay, if you change this to be paragraph, except paragraph, the color will be changed to all the elements, but unfortunately I'm not getting this. Let me give the paragraph to be uh, color, the black color. I want to make this to be black color. Okay, and you can see this color is also changed to red in color. Of course here I'm not able to see the text for this. Okay, so yeah, whatever the text that you can find inside a particular element, of course here you are giving a simple p tag. You can ask me like why the span element internal text got changed to text red color, why it's not happened to this particular anchor tag. You can ask me like a question. So we already given not of p, not for paragraph. You can apply red color for all the anchor tags. Okay, but here you mention, sorry, not of p, right? um, the priority wise you can see you are giving what we call, there is a concept called specificity. The specificity will define the priority of CSS rule what we have given. So because of that, uh, because of these colors, we are not able to see red color on these particular elements. So for the time being I just want to comment out. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, now we got a brown in color. Okay, maroon, and we need to catch for the anchor tags, right? For the time being, I just want to mention for the paragraph an anchor tag and span as well. All are in black color, black in color. See, that is also not applied because the priority is not that much high. Here, this is a class, right? I want to make this to be a anchor tag. I just changed the priority now. Now you can see, you can find red color in all the elements except paragraph. I'll tell you how this priority got changed when I simply changed from a class name to anchor tag, a normal tag name. Okay, this is what is called pseudo classes. And you have a lot of pseudo classes are there. Out of these, what we have discussed are very frequently used. You can go for that. Okay. The next one is pseudo elements. Okay. Pseudo elements are something actually, HTML contains some what do you call elements itself, right? So pseudo elements in the sense those are created by the CSS, okay, when we load a HTML page inside your document. So we have something called, for example, I'll go here. H1 pseudo elements can be accessed by using double colon. Okay, H1, that means every element has a pseudo element in CSS. So H1 before I can write before the H1 element I'm going to talk. So I'm going to place some content. There is a property called content. You can place an angular symbol. See, before the H1 I can place some content like this. Likewise, we have another pseudo class after content greater H2 not H1. We got content like this. Now let us observe this one inside your HTML browser debugger. Now you can see generally H1 should contain only text, but unfortunately the browser is going to show you something like colon colon before colon colon after. These are the pseudo elements. These are not actual elements. Okay. So whenever I remove these elements won't be found inside this one. See, you don't find any pseudo elements now. Okay. So pseudo elements, by using pseudo elements we can do a lot of things here. Okay. Just want to place that one pseudo elements. Now you can see after and before. We can control the element behavior by using these pseudo elements. Okay, so we have two types of pseudo elements are there. Of course, we have plenty of pseudo elements are there, but out of this, I can use like a before and after. Now, in this content, you can change the width of the pseudo element as well. Now, if you want to make it out width to be 100 pixels, okay. Now, this width has okay. This is not applied here. Display inline block. Now you can see you can find a width of pseudo element of, where is that, inside H1. See, you are getting a 100 pixels width. Okay, you can control the width and height. You can apply all kind of properties to these elements, pseudo elements. Okay, we can create a wonderful shapes by using pseudo elements. CSS. For example, I can show you something like, see, all these shapes got created through pseudo elements only. I will explain how to create such things using pseudo elements. I'll explain one example. Okay, and I can show you. Okay, next we are going to discuss about the CSS styles. Sorry, we have seen all these type of okay selectors. Now it's time to, now I want to introduce one concept called inheritance in CSS. Okay, one is cascading inheritance, second one is general inheritance. General inheritance is the way we are going to share the same class name to all the elements. Okay, just like we did for the anchor tag. See, okay, so we are writing, see, here I have written some set of properties inside this class name btn. If I have something called btn default, another class, So what you are going to do from this class, you are deriving some properties into this anchor tags, some styles. And again, you have another class. From this also, you are deriving some properties into anchor tag, right? Got it? So this is what is called inheritance, general inheritance. Okay. The next one is cascading inheritance. Cascading inheritance is nothing but deriving the properties of parents into child. Okay. So that is what is called cascading inheritance. Generally, DOM tree cascading inheritance. Child element inherit the properties of the parent. Got it? And one of the important point that you need to remember while inheriting the properties, this is one of the important interview question. Okay, while inheriting the properties, these two properties are not going to be inherited to the child. According to the cascade inheritance, every child element in an HTML will derive will will got all the properties of the parent, right? But except these things, margin and borders won't be derived from parent into child. Okay, so remember this point. Okay, if you got a question like if a margin will margin inherit the sorry, um, what I can ask like if margin is what, sorry, okay. The next one is CSS properties. We need to talk about a lot of CSS properties here. Um, yeah, CSS properties introduction.html. Dot CSS. Maybe na రెండు మూడోది ఉందా? Okay, CSS property dot CSS. Now, before going to the properties, I want to show you something like, see, in CSS we have a plenty of properties are there. Okay, like background properties, text properties, font properties. All these are plenty of properties that are available in CSS. Okay, so what I did here is I classified these properties in different ways, like typography. Does it all text properties I simply categorize it as a typography, and after that box model properties. Okay, and background properties, box layout properties, something like that. I just categorize like this. Okay, so first what I'm going to do, let me write down the different categories of properties inside CSS. Okay, we have properties. The first one, I can say typography are text properties. So the properties that are only applied for text elements. Okay, so I can refer this text properties as typography. The next one is okay, font properties. Of course, font itself comes under the text properties only, but I categorize it in a different manner. Third one is text properties, font properties, box model properties. Why? Because every element inside CSS is a box. or every HTML element is referred as a box, rectangle box. So that is why I just mentioned the box model properties, so that it has a width and height, okay, something like that. Margin, padding, spaces, all these things. We have referred it as a box model properties. And we have box background properties. Background properties. All kind of background properties I'm going to discuss over there. Box layout properties, how we are going to arrange the boxes. Okay. Okay. Box animation properties. I'm going to show you how to animate. And we have box animation and transition as well. Okay. Do we have anything? Okay, these are the different kinds of properties I have categorized. Each category has a set of properties are there. Now let us talk about those things. First one, I'll refer to typography, or text properties I can say. Typography. So typography is nothing but a study of understanding or study of writing the text. Okay. So in order to make the text to be understandable and readable. Okay. So such kind of signs we call it as a typography. So whatever the font, whatever the size of the text, whatever the color of the text, all these going to be discussed under the typography. How much space that we need to give between characters, how much space that we need to give between lines, all those things that are going to be discussed inside the typography. Of course, we're not going in detail about the typography. Okay, and being a developer, that is not much important here. If you want to be a what is called designer related to typography, then you need to know a lot related to that. Sorry. Okay, so typography is nothing but I told you already, it's an arrangement of letters with the different styles to make a written language to be understandable, readable, or appealing when displayed. In this typography, we need to find or we can find what we call different types of technologies like mainline, baseline, ascenders, descenders, point size, leading, tracking, heading. So let me show one thing here. What is that? Typography. Just go for the typography Wikipedia. This has been used from the past. Okay, like in the printing presses, all those things. Now we can take this one. So you can see the characters. Okay, what we can call. These are all lead pencils. Okay, leads, the pencil leads, and each character is separated. Okay, and each line is separated with. Okay, here it's not showing that one, but actually each line is separated with some leads, some rectangle boxes like this. Okay, this is also here they have removed the rectangle boxes. Okay, by using this rectangle box, we are going to separate. That is called leading. Okay, leading, kerning, all those things. The technologies that was defined in such type of uh, typography. Okay, but in CSS we don't require such type of technology. But let us understand those things. What are these things? Now you can see I have taken an image from Google. I have taken a font. You can see there is a baseline. Baseline is a line on which all the characters got settled down. Okay, so this is a baseline. From baseline, there is another line that you can find, which is extension, extended, okay, for any character, which will be used to represent any extension of the character. This is what is called descender. This is called descender. This, if the character extends below the baseline, then we can call it the descender. Okay. Likewise, we have a main line at the top. From this, you can find another line that is called ascender. And the font size is defined. It is the distance between from, font size 16 pixels or 20 pixels, something like that. So we need to calculate from this point to this point. Okay, so this is what is called font size. If it is 16 pixels, that means from here to here it will be 16 pixels. Okay, such kind of things that will be defined in typography. Okay, now you can see this is a spine. Of course, we don't require all these things now. Okay, just you need to remember what is the baseline, what is the main line of the text, what is the ascender height, what is the descender height, something. Those things are far enough. Okay, now let's see. Coming to the CSS text styles, we have something called line height. There is a line height. That means in typography we call it as a leading. Leading means if we want to separate two lines on the document, we need to place a lead pencil, just like this. These are the lead rectangle boxes we need to place here in order to separate each and every line, or each and every character as well, or each and every word as well. Okay, and you can see every character is a rectangle box, every word is a rectangle box. Okay, so here we have a line height, which is nothing but leading. Okay, and letter spacing we refer to as tracking in typography. Word spacing, kerning, text indent. Okay, let us see some of these text styles for our elements. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just want to take a paragraph content now, lorem, and I want some h1 text content, heading. Open in the browser. Okay, you find this one. Now what I'm going to do, I just wanna take a paragraph. Okay, inside this, what I'm going to do, I want to place something called line height of 15 pixels, or that is very high, 1.5 pixels or 2 pixels, or let me take 5 pixels. See the difference between what do we call, each and every line got it's around 15 pixels. It will start counting from the baseline. Okay, from baseline to baseline, it will be 5 pixels. But unfortunately, the characters got messed up. Now you can see by using this, I'm going to increase. Just click on this styles. Okay, just increase by pressing the up arrow so that you can change the line height between. So what line height you want, that will be given by your client mockups. Okay, the images that we need to design as a web pages. Okay, so in that they will mention all these type of pixel to pixel information. So how much line height to be there, how much space to be there, all those things will be defined. So according to that, you need to adjust like this. You need to adjust inside your HTML page, and once it is okay, then replace with the code. Something like this, 18 pixels, and go to the page. Now it's fine. And there is something called line height. Letter spacing is there. Letter spacing of 10 pixels, not called kerning. Each and every letter is separated with 10 pixels. Okay, word spacing 20 pixels. Each word is separated with 20 pixels. Likewise. Then you adjust here and try to adjust, and if you look it fine and if it is okay, then apply to your actual code. Okay, that is one kind of debugging your CSS. That is fine now. Okay, so these are the different types of text style that you can find. The next one is text indent. You can use something like this, text. indent, text indent of 50 pixels or 100 pixels. If you want to see some gap in front of the paragraph, then you can use text indent. Now you can see the first line has 100 pixels gap. So this is called text indent. We have text transform, all these things. I'll explain these things tomorrow. Okay.